Do you think we're in a major bubble now, right now in the United States? And do you think that the tech bubble has burst sufficiently so that the tech bubble burst is over?
I think we are descending from the 2021 bubble, which was one of the great bubbles. And this should be normally the deflationary period, the deflating period, which is a function of will the earnings decline, will profit margins decline, will the economy go into recession, and we will have a recession running perhaps deep into next year, and an accompanying decline in stock prices.
So the recession that you're predicting is probably not going to happen in 2023, but maybe...
It may start in 2023. Yeah, I think the Fed's record on these things is wonderful. It's almost guaranteed to be wrong. They have never called a recession, and particularly not the ones following the great bubbles. They prided themselves in stimulating the bubbles. They took credit for the beneficial effect of higher asset prices on the economy. They have never claimed credit for the deflationary effect of asset prices breaking, and they always do. I think it's largely out of his hands. The forces work. I suspect inflation will never be as low as it averaged for the last 10 years, that we have re-entered a period of moderately higher inflation and therefore moderately higher interest rates. In the end, life is simple. Low rates push up asset prices, higher rates push asset prices down. And we're now in an era that will average higher rates than we had for the last 10 years. I always like to say there's nothing more supremely irritating than watching your neighbors get rich. It is just irresistible to try and join in. And when enough people hit the inflection point, it sucks in everybody. And they're the great bubbles. They're the ones that are interesting. I started writing quarterly letters in '98. And '98, '99, of course, was a glorious bubble. And it just went up and up and up and up. And we fought the bubble all the way. So we were horrifically too early. That was a brutal 2 years, and the earnings were rising as well. So the market made a magnificent move from its all-time high in early '98, went straight up until March of 2000. And our clients did not approve of us being early, and to a very considerable degree fired us. Not a single solitary person who fired us came back for the same product that they fired us for. Personnel changed, they inadvertently came back years later, but no one came back. We didn't lose money in 2000, we didn't lose money in 2001, and we did not, by the skin of our teeth, lose money in 2002. So by the time the S&P was down 50%, we had had 3 up years. So that made the firm, that drew in the assets. I feel that the economy, and particularly the stock market, is very secondary to a list of important long-term problems that we have that no one takes seriously enough yet. And I feel that when we sit here discussing the stock market, we're a little like Emperor Nero fiddling while Rome burns. My job description these days at GMO is working on long-term underrated problems. And it's been a wonderful time to be doing that because we have climate change, the most important issue in the investing world for the next few decades. We have shortages of resources. We have shortages of manpower, a population bust the like of which we have never seen, particularly in a few countries like China, with huge significance.
Is there a common mistake that investors make?
They get far too enthusiastic. And I understand that. I can get pretty enthusiastic about new deals, new startups when people are presenting them. I like to leave those decisions to my colleagues who have better discipline. So I understand getting carried away. And I invested in that first bubble of 1968 and managed to make a small fortune and lose it. And after that, I became a completely die-hard value manager.
So if I said to you, look, I'm not that wealthy, I have $100,000, I'd like to put it somewhere where I'm not going to lose it, what would you recommend a person? Just an index fund or something else?
No, I think a global index fund that had most of its money outside the U.S. And if they were up to it, I would say only invest outside the U.S. for the time being. Because this overpricing in the market is mainly a U.S. event. The markets outside the U.S. are not particularly overpriced. And I would say a good combination of trying to make money and be useful is go into the venture capital world. Either run a startup yourself or deal with funding the startups and picking the winners and helping the winners. And if you could focus on the real problems that we somewhat talked about, like climate change, then you really are combining a chance of making a lot of money with doing some good.
So would you call yourself overall an optimist or a pessimist? Pessimist because you're saying the markets are always overvalued and we're going to have problems, or an optimist because you've lived a life where you've seen so many great things happen to you?
I think of myself as a realist, trying to see the world as it really is and not the way I'd like it to be. And sometimes I succeed and sometimes I fail in that. But when I focus on new ventures, I must say, it's irresistible to be optimistic. They can really carry you along.